Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is SaberWolf94, bringing you guys Pokemon sets from past formats. I know it's been a while once again. It seems like I always say this when I do these set reviews. It's been a long time since I did one, probably more than a month, but we had to cover all of the new stuff, the new sets coming, the Japanese sets, the new Unbroken Bonds English set came out. Gotta make those decks, gotta make those videos. Had all of the tournaments and stuff going, the rotation, lots and lots of stuff going on. But we're finally going to do this. The 14th EX era set. There's only a couple left. And this one is going to be EX Crystal Guardians. Boy. So this set, like most of the sets here, is very nostalgic to me. But this one is quite special in the sense that this was the first actual Pokemon TCG set. The first Pokemon cards we ever owned, me and my brother, were from this set. Fake Pokemon cards, actually. The first fake Pokemon cards I ever owned were from this set. Now, back in the day, in Cyprus, even now, really, Pokemon trading cards products were really sparse. The locations where we had official Yu-Gi-Oh products, legit Yu-Gi-Oh booster packs and stuff. Never had any Pokemon packs, and when we found Pokemon packs and we bought them, I had my suspicions even as a young dude that maybe these are fake cards, but we went under the impression that, hey, you know what, we didn't find any other ones, so maybe this is how Pokemon cards are. There's no fake Pokemon cards and shit, whatever. This is what we thought. But they were fake, and we ended up buying a lot of fake Pokemon cards after that. But either way, I still have good memories, and they're still usable, I guess, if you want to play for fun. But this is Crystal Guardians, the first Pokemon cards I got in my life. And it has a lot of my favorite cards, a lot of cool cards. There are no secret cards in this set, and it is only 100 cards. Standard set for back then, regular number, not too small, not too big, just pretty much standard. And lots of my favorite cards. There's quite a few Delta Species Pokemon. This kind of continues the Delta Species concept that started with the original Delta Species set. Not as much as in Holland Phantoms, where it just seems like every Pokemon was Delta Species and the original Delta Species set, but there's still a lot of them. So let's go ahead and go to the bottom and start with the few EXs and maybe some of the best cards. This set does have a few cards that were very significant, but you know what? I don't think it actually, yeah, the X's, not too many of them you could say really stand out competitive wise. Collectability wise, it has a lot of my favorites. So let's go ahead and start with order. So Aggron EX. This is definitely one of the cards, the fake Pokemon EXs that I did get from the tins and the fake Pokemon cards we got from back in the day. And the difference was the attack Mega Burn on the fake card. It didn't do 100. So it was just 4 energies, 4 energy attack, and it just said during your opponent's next turn, Aggron can't use Mega Burn. And we were thinking like, what? What is that? It doesn't do damage. It needs 4 energy, and you can't even use it next turn. What the hell is this? We thought it was like a bad card or something. But no, the original card, I found out later, it does 100 for 4. And this is what this Pokemon does. Its attack, the big attack, it's kind of decent. You can't use Mega Burn next turn, but doing 100 for 4, it's solid enough, you could say, for an EX Pokemon back in the day. And its attack Split Bomb, you choose 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack is going to do 30 damage to each of those Pokemon. So it's essentially 60 damage for 3. Not the greatest for a Stage 2 EX, but you can apply it in spread, and you can hit the active and the bench too, so it doesn't limit you to just the bench. So it's decent. The really great thing about this Pokemon, and what kind of makes it competitive, the best part about it, is its Pokebody Intimidating Armor. As long as Aggron EX was your active Pokemon, your opponent's basic Pokemon couldn't attack or use any Pokepowers or Pokebodies. So this is basically a basic Pokemon, killer. They can't even attack. They can't use Pokepowers or Pokebodies, anything. They can still evolve. It doesn't block them from evolving. But you can't do a lot of the most fundamental shit. So certain decks that focused entirely on basic Pokemon, like let's say Lunatone, Solrock decks, or what other decks focused on entirely on basic Pokemon? There weren't a lot of them, but we did have a few. It was going to shut them down completely. Now, I think those kind of decks like Solrock and Lunatone, had their own ways to negate your abilities too and negate your ass. So maybe they were okay, but intimidating armor, definitely a very good thing. The best thing about Aggron EX. And even if it's not going to stop most decks, since the best decks used evolution Pokemon, it's going to slow them down. I mean, if you get this out, super early before your opponent managed to use their Jirachi from EX Deoxys, it would block out a lot of those support basic Pokemon. Like Lapras was basically Tapu Lele GX, as I showed you guys in the Legend Maker review. And this guy's going to stop that. It's going to stop Jirachi. It's going to stop a lot of things. So definitely a very good body. Now the problems, of course, is that this was a metal Pokemon back then. So, metal energies were only special. So you only had 4. You were going to have to use all of those special energies, the other ones. And that kind of sucks a bit. The attacks, like I've said, they're decent, but nothing really astounding. Especially, Split Bomb, Mega Burn. At least it's kind of okay, doing 100. And there's not really any way to really accelerate their energies too fast on this metal Pokemon, at least that I can think of. And it has a double weakness too. Fire and Fighting can be very troublesome. Grass resistance is good, but it kind of sucks. It has a double resistance. HP at 150 is standard, good. Just your solid, good enough Stage 2 EX Pokemon. Definitely cool, and it's actually one of the best Aggron cards we had. We haven't had way too many good ones, and that's good. I like Aggron very much. So Aggron EX, pretty good. It is kind of competitive due to the intimidating armor. I think there might be some decent decks you can build. Perhaps check Jason Klasinski's articles, WordPress, about this era. Maybe you'll find some interactions. Right. Next up, we got this Blaziken EX. Me and my brother, we own this card too, both of us. This Fighting Blaziken EX. So only a fire one, and there's only this fighting one here, I'm pretty sure, from the era. I don't think there was anyone else. And it's pretty cool. Fly art. I actually own this card, bought the original version. Bought Aggron too, I believe. I think I own most of these cards here, the original ones now. 150 HP, solid Stage 2 EX. Only one weakness to Psychic, which is nice. 2 retreat cost, decent. It's got 2 attacks. You got Drag Off. Before doing damage, you may choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon and switch it with a defending Pokemon. Your opponent chooses the defending Pokemon to switch. So basically, it gives you don't exactly pull, which is kind of bad. You can force your opponent to switch, and they're going to promote something else, but you don't get to choose. And you can essentially do the 30 damage to the new Pokemon. Fighting in colorless, doing 30. It's not exactly too bad, but it's not too great either. Your real attack is going to be this burn away attack. Now already you guys can see it's doing 100 damage for 4 energy, so it might be some good shit. Fire energy and fighting energy at least. You need 2 of these, so double energy requirement, but it's kind of cool to be honest, this sort of energy combination. Fire and fighting on Blaziken, of course, being a fighting fire Pokemon. I like shit like this. As long as, it's just worth it. The attack is worth it at the very least. And it's going to do burn away. Before doing damage, count the remaining HP of the defending Pokemon. If that Pokemon is knocked out by this attack, Blaziken X does damage to itself equal to this attack's damage minus the remaining HP of the defending Pokemon. And this attack's damage isn't affected by weakness, resistance, Pokepowers, and Pokebodies, or any other effects on that Pokemon. So unfortunately, just like I remember it, this attack is kind of ruined by these kinds of effects. I mean, doing 100 damage for 4 is good, but just like I said with Aggron, I mean, Salamence, basically the regular Delta species Pokemon, could do 100 for 4, and you just had to discard a metal energy. That was it. This one, you get a lot more drawbacks. Not being affected by effects, poke bodies, poke powers, everything, and resistance is good, but the fact you can't hit for weakness is kind of fucked up too, because then, if you hit for weakness doing 200, you knock out a lot of good things fighting Pokemon. So it's a bit sad. And you're also going to damage yourself. I believe basically, like, depending on how much damage, uh, if it had damage counters, um, kind of remaining HP, yeah. So I think if it's clean, you're not going to do any damage to yourself, which is good, I suppose. But if it has like any damage on, then you're going to do the remaining to yourself kind of thing. So you're going to hit yourself for perhaps some decent damage, and that sucks. This Pokemon wasn't competitive at all, I believe. The Blaziken EX, the fire one, was definitely more usable. But I like it. I kind of like it. We used this card, me and my brother, back then when we played against each other. We didn't really have anyone else to play with. Nice. Nice card. Next up, we got Delcatty EX. I own this card too. This one, I think it's actually pretty solid. 90 HP, not so great, but it's decent at a stage 1 EX, I suppose. It doesn't have a retreat cost, which is nice. Fighting weakness. You can do Constrain. Once during your turn before you attack, you can use this power. Each player discards cards until that player has 6 cards in their hand. You discard first, and won't be able to be used if it's affected by special condition. So essentially, you can limit your opponent's hand. If they want to have a big hand, you can force them to discard stuff. Now, the limitation of at least 6, it's not too great. I mean, if your opponent can still keep 6 cards, that's enough cards to, have some usable stuff there. So it's not too great, but we had a card, Steven's Advice, which is basically a stronger version, a slightly stronger version than Erica. And if people use that card, they were going to be able to have big hands. So I guess this could kind of stop that, minimize their hand. And you have to discard too, so maybe you got to be careful. And it's got 2 attacks. Tail Slap, it just takes 60 for 3. Not impressive at all. And then Upstream, search your discard pile for all energy cards. This attack does 10 damage times the number of energy cards you find there, and then you shuffle them back in your deck. So this is kind of like the Feraligatr in the Neo Genesis set, which was a king Pokemon during its day, the king of the format. It's basically a similar attack, and it's actually quite good. And it says all energy cards. It doesn't even have to be basic. So you shuffle in a bunch of energies there. This Pokemon is going to get one-hit knockouts on a lot of stuff. I believe there is a deck you can build with this Pokemon. You discard a lot of energies. It actually works with the Delcatty that dumps energies and lets you draw cards. So perfect synergy with each other. And there's probably other methods you can use to dump energies in that era. So dump a lot of energies, just attach one so it's a cheap attacker, get some big knockouts. It won't be easy, you need to dump a lot of energies, but it does have potential. So decent little EX, I suppose. Okay, next up we got Exploud. This guy always seems to look ugly in his cards. That's just how it is. I own this card too. I got it really cheaply. It's not really valued, at least back when I bought it. So this dude has extra noise. As long as Exploud EX is your active Pokemon, put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon EX between turns. Good ass ability. Kind of like the Flygon's Sand Slammer. Kind of like some other good Pokemon that had this sort of ability where you put damage counters as long as they're active. It's going to hit your opponent's EX Pokemon hard. Put a damage counter on all of them. The damage is going to add up. Soften those guys up. With Derail, you can do 40 for 2. Discard a special energy, if any, attached to the defending Pokemon too. So a good ass effect, especially for back then. So many special energies were being played, the best energies. Damage is quite solid, especially for 2, and having this good discarding effect. There were no DCs back then, but this is still a good attack for any 2 energies. And then Hyper Tail, if the defending Pokemon has any Poke Powers or Poke Bodies, this attack is going to do 80 for 3. So pretty solid. Most of the best Pokemon had a body or a power. So doing 80 for 3 and you can use any energy. You can basically slap like a boost energy, and this dude is ready to go to use Hyper Tail. You know, it's pretty good. I gotta admit, this is a solid stage 2 EX Pokemon, even if it looks kind of ugly. Good Pokebody, both attacks are good. The stats are solid. You know, it only has one weakness as a colorless Pokemon. You know, you can't really complain too much. By no means it was a top Pokemon that just everybody was winning tournaments with, but it's definitely very, very solid. If there's one thing you can count on for the EX era, is that the format is for the most part very, very balanced. Nice. So good EX for sure. It might be like the strongest EX, I would say, from the ones we've seen so far. Most effective one, most reliable one. Okay, now to one of my favorites. This might be one of my favorite Groudon EX cards, Groudon. It looks so freaking sick, and it's very pricey right now. I know it's very pricey. I mean, the price I got it, I had to pay a bit of money, but compared to what somebody that wants to buy this card mint is gonna have to pay now, yeah, I'm glad I'm not in your shoes. So this is a basic Pokemon EX, 100 HP, solid enough, as much as Rayquaza had. It would have been good if it had like 110 or 120, but that's asking too much for that era. We only had a few cards hitting that. And Hard Rock, as long as Groudon EX has one energy or less attached to it, damage done to any of your Groudon EX in play by attacks is reduced by 20. So this is pretty good. So I guess if your opponent, you know, attacks this dude while you only have one energy or one less energy, maybe you're building him up, you haven't built him up, build him up yet, you know, you're gonna block damage. And it actually has perfect synergy with the attack. When you use Power Blast, you do 100 for 3 energies. You gotta discard 2 energies. So you're always gonna have that Pokebody effect active. Unless, I mean, you had 4 energies attached to this guy for some reason. You can use things like double rainbow energy. I believe it should be working with this guy. Attach a fighting, attach a double rainbow. This dude is gonna hit for 90 or some shit. I think rainbow energy is gonna reduce the damage by 10. Double rainbow energy, something like that. I'm not too sure. But it's kind of good for a basic EX. Once again, it doesn't really have an application for really competitive decks. Just a good little decent Pokemon. I mean, if it was a fire Pokemon, you could definitely make use of this in decks like Blaziken and other decks with energy acceleration. But fighting didn't really have any good ass super fast energy acceleration. Anyways, I like this EX a lot. It's really cool. It's really fly if you own it, and it's lovely. Yeah. Groudon EX, another solid Pokemon EX here. Next up, Jirachi. This one is definitely expensive. Yeah, it's definitely expensive. There's not a lot of these out. Jirachi EX. This might be the first one. I think it might be the only one actually too. We only had one Jirachi EX perhaps. So Starlight. As long as your opponent has any Pokemon EX or Stage 2 evolved Pokemon in play, Jirachi EX pays 1 colorless less to use Shield Beam or Super Cybolt. So let me see if I understand. So any Pokemon EX or Stage 2 evolution Pokemon. Okay, so it's going to cover a lot of ground. Any Pokemon EX, this can be basic, Stage 1, Stage 2, whatever, or any evolved Pokemon. So basically the best Pokemon in the format. You pay 1 less to use the attacks. Now unfortunately the attacks aren't very special. Super Cybolt just does 50 for 3, which is pathetic. And Shield Beam, during your opponent's next turn, your opponent can't use any Poke Powers on his and her Pokemon. Oh! Now this is a broken attack. Yeah, just by reading this, this is definitely a competitive Pokemon. I'm not completely sure I remember it, but if I had to put some money on this, I would say if you go to Jason Kaczynski's WordPress page, you're going to see this card featured in decks, because this attack is just too good. Blocking Poke Powers in the form of an attack, there's basically no way your opponent will be able to play around this. It's going to shut down a lot of decks, a lot of Pokemon. It's the same attack as Gardevoir's attack from Secret Wonders. You do 60 for 3 and then you block all Poke Powers. This is the same thing. It's just gonna work with one energy if you have the Poke Body active and you do 30. So this is almost like a Sasmito X guy in a way. So very, very, very strong Pokemon. Super Cybolt isn't very good, but everything else is. It also doesn't have a weakness, so that might be handy too, since it only has 90 HP. Very, very good EX. I mean, you definitely can make a deck with this guy being the focus, block your opponent's Pokemon with Poke Powers, and slow them down. Excellent, excellent EX. Next up, Kyogre EX2. I think I bought this card too. Yeah, I know I have it. I have it for sure. Uh, very, very cool as well. One of the best looking Kyogres. It's gonna be very expensive too, I would say. So this dude has flotation. As long as Kyogre EX has one energy or less attached to it, retreat cost is 0. And it's for each Kyogre EX. That's nice. So let me check actually. This Groudon is gonna block damage on all Groudons. Let's find out. Uh, Damage done to any of your Groudon EX in play. Okay, yeah, so this guy is going to protect all of his brothers too. And the same with Kyogre. So that's good. So having free retreat is nice, since this Pokemon has a 2 retreat cost. It's usually going to have free retreat, it seems, for the most part. As soon as you play him down, it's going to be a free retreater, since if you don't want to put energies on him. So good. And then Hydro Shot. You discard 2 energy attached to this Pokemon and choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's a 70 damage snipe, so nice. Kyogre EX style, Hydro Shot, sniping attack. It's pretty solid. Since it's a water Pokemon, if you like, you can pair it up with Blastoise. You can probably pair it up with other Pokemon. I mean, it's probably not the greatest. I think there's other snipers, which is why Blastoise was combined with things like Steelix and other Pokemon. But, I mean, if you want to go the pure route, you don't want to fuck around with cast form, Holland's cast form, and, you know, that sort of strategy, then maybe you can use Kyogre. Maybe. Uh, you can try it out. It's nice, though. It's not a useless Pokemon, for sure. Okay. Next up, we got Sebital. Sebital EX. So this guy is actually a Delta species Pokemon, and I think it might be the other starters didn't have Delta species versions because they both have 2 types. Swampert is both water and ground, and Blaziken is fire fighting. Sebital was only grass, so I guess they decided instead of making another grass EX, Sebital EX, they were going to make him a Delta species Pokemon in this set. It's kind of funny, the Mega Sebital now, it's Dragon, so it would have been a good sort of throwback. We would have had some good trivia if they made this like a colorless Pokemon or something. But I think that would have been too much. Psychic Pokemon's still good though. Unfortunately, it has a double weakness, grass and fire. It's problematic. The grass is sort of because grass was poisoned back then in that era. So this is why it's there. For those that might be thinking, oh, it doesn't make sense. This is why. Water resistance is handy, 1 retreat is good, but 140 HP with a double weakness, it's kind of shitty. It loses points because of that. It has extra liquid. I don't know why you're doing shit with liquids. It's not like you're some sort of I don't know, like fucking Quagsire or some shit, Vaporeon. Anyway, each player's Pokemon EX can't use any Poke Powers, and pays 1 more energy to use his attacks, 1 more colorless energy. Each Pokemon can't be affected by more than 1 extra liquid Pokebody. So it doesn't stack. You're only gonna get 1 of these Pokebodies in effects, so you can't make your opponent need to pay multiple colorless energies, more energies to make their attacks, and that's good. It would have been too busted if it had that. But another Pokemon EX hater. It's gonna block their Poke Powers, and they need more extra energies to make their attacks. So it's good. Definitely good. And unfortunately though, I think this is gonna affect you as well. each player's Pokemon EX, yeah, it's gonna affect you. Too bad. And Power Revenge does 60 damage plus 10 more damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. So if it wasn't for your own Pokebody fucking you up, this would have been a decent sort of revenge attack. 60 for 2 is very, very good. It's good enough damage for a Pokemon like this. And then it goes stronger for every prize card they have taken. So let's say they've just taken 2 prize cards. You do an 80 for 2. That's very respectable. You can't complain about that. But since it's going to affect yourself as well, from my understanding, it means that you need 3 energies to make this attack. And that also makes it kind of shitty. Now, I think this Pokemon still can see some top tier play. Maybe not top tier, but at least be somewhat competitive. Because, I mean, even with the limitations, both the body and attack are good. But, I mean, I don't know. It's a Delta species Pokemon, so it's going to benefit from a lot of the Delta species support. I'm not too sure. Once again, Jason Klasinski is your guy. If you check around on his shit, you'll find out. There's definitely a lot better Pokemon that can, have good lock-in effects like this and do high damage. I mean, I know there's a lot. Like for Alligator EX is pretty good. Even Aggron was pretty good. We just talked about, you know, Jirachi blocking out powers on everybody, not just the EX Pokemon. So I don't know. I feel like this guy, even though his shit is decent, he gets outclassed by other Pokemon. Anyways, Sabotage EX is in here too. Next up we got, you know what, I'm going to go to Swampert before we get to Shiftry. The best starter from this set, as it should be, is my beloved Swampert here. This one is very, very good. You really can't complain about this card. It might be the best it's the best printed Swampert card we've had, in my opinion, so far. I made a Swampert top 10 way back in kind of shitty quality. Check it out if you want to see it. And I guess I'll give you a spoiler. You know what? I'm not going to give you a spoiler. But yeah, I think this is the best card. So spoiler alert. But Energy Recycle, what this guy does is you can, before you attack, search your discard pile for 3 energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. Your turn ends. But you're not going to put any damage counters on you. It works from the discard pile. It works with any energy, so you can get special energies too. And you can attach them to other Pokemon if you don't want to attach them to Swampert. Now, if you do attach them to Swampert, damn fucking motorcycle outside. If you do attach them to Swampert with Ultra Pump, you're doing 60 damage, and if you discard 2 cards from your hand, it's going to do 20 more damage to the active Pokemon and 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So 100 damage total for discarding 2 energies, 2 cards from your hand actually. It's almost like Kindra's from Legends Awaken attack. Really, really strong too. Needs more energies to work. You need 2 energies, 3 energies as opposed to 1 compared to Kindra. But Kindra is a much newer card compared to this. Very, very good attack. So this Pokemon can be self-sufficient basically, not very self-sufficient. You can, if you want to grab energies with Energy Recycle, put them on this guy, you can do it. If you want to power up another broken Pokemon, you can do it. Solid 150 HP, only 1 weakness to Grass 2. Respectable ass HP. You can't really go wrong with the Swampert. And, thanks to the speedy rare candy, the original rare candy effect we had, you're not slowed down too much by the fact that Energy Recycle ends your turn. This is definitely a respectable ass Pokemon. And you know what? You can even use it with the Energy Acceleration Swampert from the original Ruby and Sapphire set. So you got that shit too. So lots of options. Very good power for sure. This is a very good EX. The best of the starter EXs from this set, I would say. Superfly, Water Swampert EX. Can't go wrong. Motherfucker. Okay, let's go to Shiftry EX. This might be like the most competitive one. besides perhaps Jirachi, because Jirachi is pretty broken with its first attack. Uh, Jason does have a deck with this Pokemon. It's completely the focus. It's pretty simple. You just aim to get a bunch of these Shift EXs out, and every time your opponent uses a Pokepower, you're going to put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. This stacks, so if you have a bunch out, your opponent is going to get really, really hurt if they want to keep using Pokepowers. You know, they can just not do it, and basically this guy's body is useless, but not really, because then it means their powers are useless. So it's really good. The body has perfect synergy with a target attack. You choose one of your opponent's Pokemon, you do 30 damage to that Pokemon. If that Pokemon already has damage counters, then you do 50 damage. So this guy has a pretty aggressive attacker too. You know, this is a sniping attack, a cheap attack, perfect synergy with Dark Eyes. Very simple EX Pokemon. Now, the HP is kind of shitty at 140, and it does have a double weakness once again, but at least it has free retreat, which kind of makes it solid. This was a pretty solid Pokemon, to be honest. Also talked about this way back in my history of Shiftry cards. History of Shiftry in the TCG. Yeah, I don't even remember that series. It's been a long time since I made those videos, unfortunately. Blade Arms, a very solid attack too, 70 for 3. And you gotta remember, since this Pokemon is dark, you can use the special dark energies, boost the damage even further. Very good Pokemon, one of the best, if not the best, from this set, as far as the EXs go. Okay, and then we've got nobody actually. We only have 2 gold stars here. And these are actually, even though they're gold stars, they're not secret rares, which is what makes this set special, the unique aspect about this set. And yeah, this might be one of the easier, I guess, gold stars to pull. I think, at least. I think the ratios might be just as the other gold stars, but I know both of these cards are expensive as fuck, especially Celebi. I'm not sure if Alakazam is just as expensive, but I know Celebi is expensive as fuck. You know, your pink-ass gold star Celebi here. But they're classified as, you know, not going over the set number, so I don't know, maybe they're easier to pull. If you can even buy one of these booster boxes, it's probably like 5,000 a pop. Last time I saw this shit on eBay, I think it's just too expensive, damn it. I wish I could buy it, but it's just too much. You gotta get rich to buy these sets now. Has time travel. If Celebi will be knocked out, you may flip a coin. If heads, it survives. Discard all cards attached to Celebi and put Celebi in the bottom of your deck. So you still gotta move it out of the way, and you lose the other cards attached to it. But I think your opponent, I think they're still gonna get a prize actually. You can just put it back on the deck, I guess, and reuse your gold star. Let's see what Leaf Shade does. Count the amount of energy attached to Celebi. Put that many damage counters on whatever opponent's Pokemon. Okay, so it's not so good. I mean, the effect is good, but you need a lot of energies to put actual damage that matters. So, yeah, not a very useful gold star. HP is kind of low, too. There's other better ones, I gotta admit. Collectors-wise, though, this Pokemon is top-notch, for sure. I'd love to own this card, man. I really would. I don't own a single gold star, and it's always going to be my regret. For fuck's sake. And what about Alakazam? So, once again, I don't know if I mentioned this before. I think I did. But thanks to the Uri Geller lawsuit, if you guys don't know about this shit, you know, the Abracadabra Alakazam line hasn't been able to really see cards throughout the years. It really sucks ass. So at least the Pokemon Company, when they had opportunities to print a few Alakazam cards, they did, like they always do. We had Alakazam EX in Fates Collide, where it could be used as a basic. We had this guy, Alakazam Gold Star, when you don't have to involve the other line as well. And I don't know if we had any others. It's hard for them to print those cards since they can't use the fucking Kadabra card. Damn them. Damn Uri Geller too, but the Pokemon Company is at fault as well for deciding to name this card pretty much Uri Geller in Japan. Anyways, so this dude, Gold Star, 80 HP, much better than Celebi. You can do Psychic Select, put any card from your discard pile into your hand. So this uses your attack for the turn, but it can't be handy. Being able to recycle energy, like recycle anything, recycle a broken ass energy like Scramble or Boost, Triple Boost, is nice. Skill Copy, discard a basic Pokemon or Evolution card from your hand. Choose one of that card's attacks. Skill Copy copies that attack. This attack does nothing if Alakazam doesn't have the energy necessary to use that shit. Okay. So, the energy necessary to use that attack. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So I guess you gotta have 3 of anything to use this attack. But you need to have the precise energy types, whatever the fuck, to copy that attack. This can still be kind of handy. It's a bit sad you gotta discard the Pokemon and maybe just not reveal it or something. But I guess if you want to use that attack and take advantage of the Psychic type, make use of your Gold Star basic Pokemon, maybe it can be handy, I guess, to use some fast attacks on Stage 2 Pokemon. You know, use an attack on a Stage 2 without getting the Stage 2 out. It's definitely better than Celebi. I can see some situations where this Gold Star might be handy to have around. So Alakazam, pretty solid. Okay, so these are the X's and the Gold Stars, the highest end card in this set. And indeed, yeah, this is the original, I think, set where double Rainbow Energy comes out. So yeah, we've got this card. We have a lot of good shit, trainer-wise, here. So let's go ahead and look through them. Bill's Maintenance, this guy is one of the weaker ones, but I guess in that era, it wasn't too bad. If you have any cards in your hand, shuffle one of them into your deck, and then draw 3 cards. So in the very rare situations where you wanted to use this as opposed to TV Reporter, Gabby and TV basically, this guy is a supporter. He exists in that era. That's all I can say. Your draw 3, pay a cost, put a card back. Okay. We got Castaway. This guy's a much better supporter and an original card from the set. I remember this card. Yeah, we owned this as well too with my brother. This set is all about crystals. You guys are gonna see in the backgrounds. You know, there's this new island introduced in the TCG lore. There's this crystals and shit. The Delta species Pokemon living alongside other regular ass Pokemon. It's pretty cool. Crystal Guardians is definitely a cool ass set. I really like it. One of my favorites. That's the theme of the set. And this dude is pretty good. It's basically almost like Cyrus's Initiative from the SP era. If I said the name right, I think that's how it was called. Search your deck for a supporter card, Pokemon tool card, and a basic energy card. Put them into your hand. So a really solid supporter in certain decks. You want to run this card. Get you a supporter for next turn, get you a tool, and get you a basic energy too. It's pretty good. Now we had a lot of other good supporters in that era compared to the SP era where things were kind of different. But it's a good effect. You can't deny that. It's going to net you 3 cards, and you get to choose. You have a lot of flexibility on the shit. Get any energy, get any tool, get any supporter card. It's not limited to SP shit as well, so you can't go wrong with this old dude here, Castaway, like it says, Castaway. Alright, good supporter. And then we got Celio's Network. I believe this might be a reprint. This isn't the original Celio's Network, but I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure this guy came out in Fire and Leaf Green or EX Unseen Forces, but I could be wrong. I think it's definitely a remake though. Yeah, this isn't the original card. But this is a very competitive card in that era. You can search your deck for a basic Pokemon or evolution card, excluding Pokemon EX, put it into your hand. So if you weren't running any EX Pokemon and you wanted to get evolution Pokemon, this was your guy. Can also get you a basic if you get this early and don't have anything else to use. Definitely one of the best supporters in that era. Cool dude, Cilio. And then we got Cessation Crystal. Broken Ass Trainer might be one of the best cards, the best card in this set when it comes to tools. As long as Cessation Crystal is attached to an active Pokemon, each player's Pokemon can't use any Poke Powers or Poke Bodies. So yeah, this is definitely a card that saw play in a lot of decks as another way to stop your opponent from using Poke Powers or Poke Bodies. You know, you needed to have a way, the best decks needed to have a way to negate your opponent's powers and bodies. And this was one of the best methods. This was one of the methods any, regular ass Pokemon could just use this. Attach it, and you were going to shut down your opponent's powers and bodies on the active Pokemon at least. So it's good. So this card, because in a card like this, Windstorm became pretty big. Where are you? Right here. And Windstorm is basically the original Field Blower. Like I always said when I look at this card, it just really just reminds me that the best aspects of the TCG, the best shit, the original shit, was basically in this era, you know? And basically they're just copy pasting what they can from this era all the time. So choose two of any in any combination of tools or stadiums, discard them. So you can discard your own shit if you want to for some reason. Probably you're going to discard your opponent's shit. And this was a very good tech to have to get rid of your opponent's cessation crystals if they wanted to run them. Get rid of a lot of other good stadiums and tools. We had so many broken ass stadiums too, man, like the Meteor Falls. You got Battle Frontier, some other ones. Good ass shit, like the Giant Stump. Plenty of good stadiums, man. So yeah, this is where these cards to come in. Good ass tool to be used, and then Windstorm to be used in decks to get rid of your opponent's techs. Then we got double full heal, kind of useless, but it's in here. The thing is, with back then, since you could do double battles with two active Pokemon, then I guess this was gonna heal both Pokemon if they both had special conditions. So kind of slick. And then we have Dual Ball. I believe this card, yeah, originally comes out in a different set. I think it might be Team Rocket, Fire and Leaf Green. I don't remember. But you flip the coins for each head, you're going to get a basic Pokemon. So it gives you a chance for this to be a better, I guess, nest ball in a way. You get the shit in hand, but yeah, it's a decent little ball if you want to risk with coin flips. We got Holland's Circle here. Prevent all effects of an attack, including damage from either player's active Pokemon. If an active Pokemon uses an attack, and that attack ends, then discard this card. So this is basically like a Swords of Revealing Light for Pokemon for one turn. You're going to play down this stadium, and if your opponent attacks, you're going to block all that shit. The damage and the effects, you're invincible for one turn if this stadium stays. Now if you play this and you attack, then you're basically just fucking yourself over because you won't do any damage or apply any effects. So you want to play this down when you're not going to make an attack, so to get that defense. And if your opponent doesn't get rid of it, then you were basically invincible, at least for your active Pokemon. So it's a decent little stadium. There's a lot of ways to get around this effect, of course. And once your opponent attacks, it's not going to stick. So it's a one-trick pony, you could say. It's only going to work once. But it's kind of nice. It's a cool little stadium. We also own this card, me and my brother. And we were actually trying to make sure, is this how this works? Is the stadium, it works like this? Am I right? Yeah. You guys can see the crystals here. There's a little crater here, the beach background. Loving it, man. Loving it. They really just don't make these cards like they used to. Now, I will admit, there's some good artwork in new cards too. Yeah, but this OG EX era, it just doesn't get topped. Next up, we got the Memory Berry. This might be the first Memory Berry print in the EX era. I don't believe we had another Memory Berry. Or maybe we had something, we had Meteor Falls. I think it does something with pre-evolutions using your attacks like this, but Memory Berry is good. This is like a tool. You attach it to your Pokemon, and you want to do your raid strategies, you can do it. You want to use other moves from basic Pokemon or stage 1s, you can do it. It's cool. It's also an original ass berry. It doesn't exist in the games. Always liked this card, and we had it as well. Uh, back then, we both had it. See, the way those tins were, how we bought them back, those fake tins with fake cards, they just had a bunch of, common ass cards from this set, like Aggron, Memory Berry. Oh, these cards were in there and shit. Yeah. We got the Mysterious Shard. To be honest, I don't remember what this card does. Prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to the Pokemon that Mysterious Shard is attached to by your opponent's Pokemon EX, and you discard at the end. So this is another card that's gonna make your dude invincible, but only for Pokemon EX. So decent as well, I guess. And you got Pokeball reprint, Pokenav. This might be the original Pokenav, or damn, I don't remember actually if this is like a reprint Pokenav or if we had this Pokenav in another set. But this might be the original Pokenav too. We owned this card as well back then. And it's the same effect as the Pokenav we had today. Now back then maybe it wasn't too bad, but now it's kind of not too great, even in standard. When you have other shit like Jirachi, even the Pokegear. You look at the top 3 cards of your deck, choose a basic Pokemon evolution card or energy card, and add it into your hand, and then you can stack the other 2 cards on top of your deck. This is only good if you have really big skeletons of energies and Pokemon. So if you've got like, I don't know, 20 something Pokemon and 15 something energies for some reason in your deck, so basically more than half of your deck is as targets for this card, then is good. But most decks, at least for me in standard and expanded, you've got like 15 something Pokemon, 12 something energies, so you're not even hitting half your deck, so more than likely you're not going to be revealing shit. So basically it's like you reveal anything besides a special energy, or you actually can pull special energies too. So just anything besides a trainer. That's basically it. But most of the time, Trainer's Mail is better in Expanded especially, because half your deck is trainers, more than half your deck is trainers, and you reveal 4 cards too. So if they made it like maybe reveal 5 or some shit, then it would have been better, but it's decent, it's solid, but there's probably other better items. There was definitely acrobikes and shit back then, but I think even back in that era, there were better cards. Maybe that's just me though. And then we got Warpoint reprint and everything else I already touched on. Energy Search reprint, this old Energy Search art, Potion, Warpoint Windstorm, and then the special energy in the set, Double Rainbow Energy. Let's see what it does actually, because I don't remember. Yeah, so fuck what I've said with Groudon. Can't be used on EX Pokemon. So it can only be attached to an evolved Pokemon while in play. It's going to provide every type of energy and provides double at a time. Damage done to your opponent's Pokemon by the Pokemon this card is attached is reduced by 10. So okay, it's not 20, even though it's double Rainbow Energy. And when the Pokemon is no longer evolved, it discards a card. Okay. So EX Pokemon can't use this, and you're going to do 10 less damage on the evolved Pokemon you attach it to. But it is essentially a more broken DCE because it provides 2 energy, but it's not just colorless, it can provide any type. So very, very broken ass energy. You best believe this was used all over the place in the decks that could utilize this. Very nice. So even though we didn't have DC, you had this, I guess. Busted. Okay. So these are all the bottom cards, I guess. The trainers, the special energies. Oh, wait a minute, actually. I skipped Crystal Beach and Crystal Shard. How the fuck did I do that? So Crystal Beach, another lovely stadium here. Beach and crystals in the background. Each special energy card that provides 2 or more energy now only provides 1. Okay. So this was your counter to all of the triple boost energy, all of your scramble energies, rainbow energy, double rainbow energy here. It's going to limit them to 1, so basically kind of make them useless. This isn't affected by any poke powers or poke bodies. Okay, this is a complicated ruling. So this isn't affected by any poke. So I guess, yeah, if there's any poke body or poke power that's gonna affect and modify energy costs, this is gonna ignore it. So I guess it's not gonna stack or shit like this. But yeah, if this sticks, it's gonna annoy your opponent when they can't utilize their best special energies. And it not only does it make it to 1 energy, it's gotta be colorless too. So double rainbow becomes super useless. You don't even get the benefit of any energy. So solid counter stadium as well. And then Crystal Shard. This is basically the bane of the existence of Dragon Pokemon. This is what ruined Dragon Pokemon back then, unfortunately. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, that Pokemon's type is colorless. The Pokemon attacks, you discard this card, but it doesn't matter because you're gonna get what you want, which is basically hit that dragon for weakness. So 99.9% of dragons, if not all dragons, unless maybe there was some Delta species Pokemon or some shit, but even then, I think all dragons back then were weak to colorless, with the exception of some Pokemon like Salamence, the shitty one from Dragon, that had no weakness. And the good Rayquaza EX actually, from, I forgot, Dragon Frontiers, yeah, the next set. So basically, if your opponent ran this tech, they could attach it to their Pokemon. They were going to hit your dragon for weakness, and more than likely, they were going to get a one-hit knockout. This made Pokemon like Salamence EX, all of the Salamence EXs, even though they were decent at least, made them very risky and dangerous to run because your opponent could easily collect 2 prizes by knocking them out. All they had to do is just do 80 damage, attach this, and they were going to kill those big guys in 1 hit. This was very, very bad if your opponent could do this. So, yeah. This definitely affected the playability of Dragon Pokemon. And the same even for any Dragon Pokemon, like even Rayquaza EX, the basic one from EX Dragon. Even though that was a good Pokemon, this card definitely hurt it when it was released. I think that dude was rotated out by then, but yeah. If you play the complete EX format, this card is going to hurt him, hurt all dragons. Okay. Ah, damn, I need to take a breath. But yeah, good tool, I guess, to counter dragons. And that's basically it for the bottom cards. So there's a lot of amazing ass cards in here. I'm gonna be here all day to talk about them. But I guess let's talk about some good stage 2s, stage 1s. Some of the cards that speak to me, that I owned. We have a few good competitive cards too. I can't forget those. So let's look at this Benetti. Do you do something? You got this safeguard. Alright, so an EX hater as well. With this safeguard ability, it kind of works like the Dewgong from Fire and Leaf Green. I think that was the set. You prevent all effects, attacks, whatever the fuck, if they're coming from a Pokemon EX. Benetti doesn't care. And you got Night Murmurs. Murmurs, yeah. Error in sorry B. If the defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, it is confused. So 30 for 2, it's not the greatest damage, but this is supposed to be an EX counter. So good shit. You can utilize this Pokemon in some decks. Like Benetti EX was good. The one in Legend Maker. So if you run like one of these as a tech to sort of try and lock out your opponent, it might not be too bad. Looks nice too. Then we got this Fighting Metal Blastoise Delta Species, a card that really stands out. We both own this as well. You got Shield Veil. Each of your active Pokemon has no weakness. Not bad, not bad. And we got Enraged Linear Attack. I'm guessing this is going to be a sniping attack. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. It's going to do 10 damage for each damage counter on Blastoise. So this is kind of good. Kind of like the Golem's attack in, I think it was Legend Maker 2, yeah. So if Blastoise has a lot of damage counters on, let's say it has 50 damage counters, half of his health, let's say. This is basically a 50 damage snipe. Man, fuck all these cars. I've got my window kind of open because, you know, it's summertime. It's not really winter anymore. Anyway, there's a lot of noise. But, you know, a snipe for 50, it's decent. It's not too bad, you could say. It's the same attack as Shiftry, you know, without needing the original bonus. Skull Bash, unfortunately, is a shitty attack, and that's where all the good stuff ends. I guess you're not going to care about your weakness. With Blastoise, it's weak to lightning, but if your Pokebody remains active, it's going to remove your weakness. But besides that, and being a Delta Species Pokemon, it kind of leaves a bit to be desired. I mean, if Skull Bash did at least maybe 70 or 80 for 3, it would have been a little bit better, but 60 is not too great. Fighting in Metal Pokemon, since it's Delta Species, it has a few things going for it, but it's not really gonna do much. I don't think it did anything. Looks fly though. Like it once again with the crystals. We got this Camerupt. I own this guy too. It's nice. I don't think it's competitive, but I like it. I like Camerupt. Delta protection. Any damage done to Camerupt by attacks by your opponent's Delta Species Pokemon is reduced by 40. So this is a Delta Species hater. It's gonna block them nicely. Just like another Dugong that did this too. Combustion is a bit shitty, doing 50 for 3, but it's just a stage 1. And linear attack, 30 snipe. So once again, not too great of attacks, but if you're going against an all Delta Species deck, this Pokemon might prove a decent tank against them. Perhaps, I guess. Charizard, Delta Species. We didn't own this card. At least I didn't. I don't think my brother did either. You got Peal of Thunder. Once during your turn when you play Charizard to evolve, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Grab any energies you find there, attach them to one of your Pokemon. Discard the other cards. Painful. You're going to discard a few cards for this. But if you stack your energies on top of your deck, you do some shit right, you're easily going to be able to grab a bunch of energies with this Pokemon. You know, doing 120 for 4 is high damage. Unfortunately, needs 2 metal energies, and you gotta discard a metal energy too. But the damage is kind of high. I would say Salaman's attack is better, and that Pokemon is better in every way, to be honest. Better retreat, double resistance, only 10 less HP, but it's better in basically every way, to be honest. The only bad thing is the weakness, once again, because what I explained with the Cessation Crystal. But yeah, I would say Salamence is better than this guy, and I'm not trying to be biased because it's my favorite Pokemon. Doing 100 for 4 and discarding only 1 energy is better than discarding... Oh, and you gotta discard all metal energies. Wow, so not only does it require 2 metal energies as the condition, as opposed to just 1 that Salamence needed, you're gonna discard all of them. So if you got 2 and even 3, then you're gonna have to discard a lot of shit. So yeah, Salamence is definitely better. Similar Pokemon. Definitely better. This guy does have the Poke Power, but Salamence had other ways to get the energies on himself, to be honest. Decent little stage 2, I suppose, if you want to build a Charizard deck. This might actually be one of the less shittier Charizards, even though it is kind of shit compared to other Pokemon. Compared to all the other Charizard cards that are really shit, this guy's a bit better than them. So I guess it gets that. Then we got Ductrio. We had this dude as well. Kind of cool. Did 60 for 3. Back then, me and my brother, we thought like doing 60 and 50 for 3 was good. And it's just average, really. Sand Veil, prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon by your opponent's attacks. This is a good ability. This is basically bench barrier on a stage 1. Mr. Mime's bench barrier. Dig under, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. 30 damage snipe, not going to be affected by weakness or resistance. Not great, 7 HP isn't too good. But we like this Pokemon, like I liked my fighting deck back then. Running Ductrio, running the Cacturn that I'm going to show you guys here. You know, just a pure fighting, you know, Blaziken Cacturn Ductrio deck. This Cacturn is one of my favorites because, you know, Cacturn is supposed to be sort of immune in the sand, and this is like a fighting Pokemon. It's got this sort of cool, I guess, cool sort of a combination going for it. Delta species fighting. So with Spike Storm, once during your turn, if Cacturn is your active Pokemon, you may put 1 damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon that already has any damage counter on it. Holy shit, the noise. Holy shit. I bet you guys can hear all this shit. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, this dude, you can put 1 damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon if it already has damage counters on it. So it's almost like Kinder's Prime ability. It's good. It's a stage 1. You can put the damage counter anywhere you want. It's not in between turns. So it's good. I mean, it's a good ass power. You gotta admit that. And okay, I mean, you gotta be active, so that kind of ruins it a little bit. But it's still a good attack. Triple Needle. You choose 3 of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack does 10 damage to each of those Pokemon. So a triple sort of spread attack. Low damage, but I guess it's gonna hit 3 Pokemon. And then Light Punch, 50 damage for 3. Not too impressive. HP isn't the greatest either, I guess. 80 is standard for stage 1, only 1 retreat. I mean, I like this Pokemon back in the day, but there might be better stage 1s for sure. It's not too bad. I guess if you want to use this as an aggro attacker, you know, spread damage with Triple Needle, by all means, doing 30 for 1 in spread is not too bad. There were no strong energies and shit back then, but it's okay, I guess. Then you combine it with Spike Storm, you're going to spread the damage around. Delta species, I guess. Get some benefits. Okay. Let's go back on top. We've got this Ludicolo too that I had. Fire Dude. This was pretty interesting. Like, it always was weird for us in the beginning. Like, for me and my brother, you know, we got our first Pokemon cards, and we see, like, man, Ludicolo, water Pokemon being a fire type. You know, the TCG was really wild for us back then. Like, we were really, we thought, okay, so this is some creative TCG shit. This is how the TCG is in Pokemon. You know, it was slick. Overzealous. If your opponent has any Pokemon X in play, Ludicolo's attack will do 30 more damage. Good body. And then knock off 30 for 2, and then you're going to discard an opponent's card without looking from their hand. And then fire punch 60 for 3. If they have any X Pokemon though, you know, doing 90 for 3 and then 60 for 2 is very good, it's very respectable. HP could have used a little bit of work, being a 110 or 120 as opposed to just 100. But I guess being a fire Delta species Pokemon, it's solid. Nice little decent stage 2, I guess, once again. Then we got Love Disc. Even game, count the number of your opponent's Pokemon. Search your deck for up to that number of basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench. So Love Disc cards are usually shit. You know, it's usually considered a shit Pokemon, but this is, because it's a hollow Love Disc, I guess, they give it some decent support shit. If your opponent has a lot of Pokemon down, you use Love Disc, it's going to fill your bench. Now, to be honest, both Jirachi and even the Sandstorm Dunsparce, they're probably more consistent. Yeah, definitely. So even with this, Dunsparce is probably better. You know, getting 3 Pokemon is good enough, and then you got the option to switch too. But you know, if you want to use Love Disc, I guess for some reason you can. And then Stadium Play. If you have a Stadium, remove undamaged counter from each of your Pokemon. If your opponent has a Stadium, this is going to do 10 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon, bench Pokemon, and 10 to the active. So not bad. It's a strong spreading attack if your opponent has a Stadium. It's the same spreading attack as a Stage 2 Swampert, to be honest. So yeah. Manectric. Kick away and strong current, 20 damage. If your Manectric has Pokemon Tool, it's going to do 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon EX. Could be decent if you have a tool. Hit the other EX Pokemon. Good spread. Okay. And we got Molly. Man, we got a lot of shit. I'm going to be here all day. Let's talk about Tauros, which is a competitive Pokemon. I talked about this Pokemon in my Evolutions deck analysis. Oh, fuck this fucking noise. With Crush Chance, when you put Tauros from your hand to your bench, you can discard a Stadium. So this is a good little tech Pokemon to discard your opponent's Stadium. Can also be used as a call for family dude. Get basic Pokemon. So multi-purpose, good package, basic Pokemon. And it's one of your methods too, I guess, to get rid of your opponent's Stadiums if you don't have your Windstorm in hand. So it covers some decent ground. Like I've said, good package Pokemon, Call for Family, and Crush Chance. Nice Pokemon. I think it comes as a rare holo. Yeah, from this set. And we got Blastoise too and Venusaur. You know what? I gotta talk about these guys. I gotta talk about my Swampert as well. You got some nice clay Pokemon like this Clay Combuskin here, and you got Clay Torchic. You got a lot of good shit. You know, this set isn't really big, so I could probably cover all of the Stage 2s and Stage 1s if I wanted to. So we got this Venusaur here with Chlorophyll. All energy cards that provide only colorless energy attached to your grass Pokemon provide grass energy instead. So you can do some shit, use a bunch of things like triple boost energy and make that shit apply grass with this. Then you got Green Blast. 20 damage plus 10 more damage for each grass energy attached to all of your Pokemon. So I guess if you attach a triple boost energy on this dude, then it's going to become grass. Then you essentially do, I guess, 50 for 3. It's not really good. But if you build up grass energies on the field, you can do high damage. And then Toxic Sleep, this is the real attack you're going to be able to use using the boost energy and combining it with Chlorophyll. The defending Pokemon is now asleep and poisoned. Put 2 damage counters instead of 1 on the defending Pokemon between turns. I wish it did a little bit of damage because it does cost 3 freaking energies too, but I guess it's decent. Not too great, I'm not gonna lie. Even though we had this, this was like the holo fake Pokemon card from the tin decks we got. I got my brother. I don't know if he had this as a holo. I think he did too. Swampert, the only fighting Swampert from this era, and one of the better ones too, had 120 HP. This was great, the best you can ask for. Rock Hurl is decent, not the best, doing 60 for 3, but at least you don't have to worry about resistance. And then Echo Draw, the best thing about this Pokemon, is draw a card, that's it, decent. So if you wanted to use this with Macargo as opposed with Ludicolo, you could. You're not going to do as much damage. Ludicolo's attack was better, but you have more HP. You get to manipulate a different type. And if you want to, you can even use the other Swamperts with this dude as well, since you got the Mudkip line. So good ass card. This Swampert, one of my favorites too. From Crystal Guardians, we had this. We got this Metachamp 2. Fighting. As long as Metachamp has any Psychic Energy cards, this is Psychic and Fighting. So boost your coverage to hit for weakness. Sky Uppercut, 50 for 3, not affected by resistance. And that's it. And then this Grunt Pig, I gotta talk about this guy too. Any damage by fire or water, block 30, thick fat, and then circle of steps. Does 10 damage times the number of Pokemon in play. Oh yeah, this is a good Pokemon. You can actually build a stage 1 deck with this Pokemon in that era. You used it with a bunch of other good stage 1 Pokemon, and with a full bench, both your and your opponent, you can do 100 damage for 3. That's not bad. Even 110 actually. It's going to involve your opponent's active Pokemon too. So it's basically Ludicolo's attack. So it's definitely good. Stage 1. Good stage 1, Grand Pick. We got Fear 2. I know you do something. You got the Delta sign. Once during your turn, you could search your deck for a Pokemon with Delta species on it. Show it to your opponent, put it into your hand. So for Delta species decks, this card was great. Get any Pokemon as long as it's Delta species. Boost your consistency. I don't think I need to say anything. Definitely used in decks, Delta species decks. Dusclops, I don't think you did shit, but I could be wrong. As long as Dusclops is active, your opponent can't attach any special energies except for Dark and Metal. So yeah, this is a good body. I remember this guy now. It's gonna block all of the special energies besides Dark and Metal because those guys, that was the only energy they had for their type. The attacks, I don't think, Will-O-Wisp is just standard, but Psychic Shield is good. It's going to prevent all effects of attacks and damage done to Dusclops by your opponent's Pokemon EX. So having that shit too, this is a decent stage 1, for sure. Right. And I'm just going to talk about Blastoise and wrap this up, I think, because this video, I know it's very long, it's over 1 hour. Normally I want this EX sets to be kind of a bit shorter, like 40 minutes, 50 minutes at best. So water pressure, as long as Blastoise remaining HP is 40 or less, Blastoise does 40 more damage to any Pokemon, and then Hydro Pump, 50 damage plus 20 more damage, but not to meet the energy costs for this attack. And you cannot more than 40. So I guess you can do 90 if you've got like 5 energies on. Is not so great. We got Sableye too. This is the Excavate revamp we have now. You look at the top card. You can look at it or put in the. I think it's basically the same card. Everything is the same, minus maybe the HP, or I think it might be like a complete revamp, the one we had from Celestial Storm. Molly. Mining, search your deck for a training card, put it into your hand. If that card is a tool, you may attach it to one of your Pokemon and bite off. If any Pokemon is Pokemon EX, 50 for 2. Okay. And Swalot, you're going to be the last one because I think you're hollow from this set. With this open mouth, I remember you. Pick and choose either burned or poisoned, and either asleep or confused. If any Pokemon is going to be affected by both conditions, so not bad, not bad. And reactive poison, 50 damage plus 20 more damage for each special condition. So not too bad. So it basically, it does the whole Flurritus thing in attacks on one Pokemon. So it's going to be a bit slower, maybe less effective, but you can do the same shit in a way. You're going to do some decent damage, like doing 90 for 3 by having like 2 conditions by using the first attack. It's going to be good. Like you choose like poisoned and confused. These seem to be the best ones as far as I see. And you're good to go. Decent stage 1 once again. So I don't think there's anything else that matters. Maybe there's a few basic Pokemon stage 1s. Like I remember I used this Marshadow and liked it. Doing 50 for 3, fighting Pokemon. And there's a bunch of other decent shit like this Aron, I believe it has Flail. Yeah, so you can do the Memory Berry with Aggron. It has that going for it. Nice Charmanders. We had all of these Pokemon basically. Very nice. This Lotad. Got Aqua Lift. Any water energies, retreat cost is 0. Good, really cute, nice little art. Love it. Got the Mudkips as well. Damn, I need to buy these for fuck's sake. Got this nice Sea Dot. Cool Spearow. Just every basic Pokemon in here, like small Pokemon, looks nice. Got the Clay Trico, Psychic Trico. Squirtle looks great. Both Squirtles. This one underwater. This one on a sweet sunset beach background. Is excellent set, man. If you could buy this, like if I could own this, it's one of the top EX sets I would buy. A lot of them are great, man. To be honest. But this has been Crystal Guardians. All that's left now is Dragon Frontiers, and then EX Power Keepers, which is basically the reprint set too. So, and that's gonna be the EX era. Then we move into the next shit, like I've said, the next set review series, which I already know what it's gonna be. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I need to like drink water or some shit. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, share this video with your friends, subscribe. I hope you guys subscribe. Why not? My channel is an excellent hub for all things Pokemon TCG. I do a lot of shit, both retro like this, you know, set reviews, talks. I've got a lot of good stuff, matches, decks, a lot of good shit. I cover the metagame, cover all of the major events. I do everything Pokemon TCG, and even do like some just regular Pokemon shit for games sometimes when I feel like it. So, hope you guys join the channel, join the group, join the SaberWolf94 gang, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching as always. I hope you guys will bear with me. Unfortunately, the Dragon's Frontier review is probably going to come like after a month or some shit, because I gotta do like the other sets, the other Japanese sets for the contemporary Pokemon TCG. And by the time I do those, by the time I do other stuff, it's gonna take a while before it happens. So hope you guys bear with me. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed. SaberWolf94, and what's up? What's up?